10 signs that your language teacher doesn't know what they're talking about. Let's get into it. Number 1, their pronunciation is poor. If their pronunciation reflects their mother tongue and they are not trying to teach you how to speak their mother tongue, they're not going to be able to teach you anything about phonology, how sounds are created in a language. And anything that they try to teach you about phonology, you should take with a grain of salt, if even at all. Number 2, they rarely speak in the target language and are reluctant to demonstrate rapid language switching. Por ejemplo, si quiero explicar algo de español, debería explicarlo en español cuando sea posible. If they can't demonstrate that type of rapid switching, they might not know how to do it. Or if they do know how to do it, they're not showing you they know how to do it confidently, and they won't be able to show you how to do it either. Number 3, they won't admit when they've forgotten something and won't admit if they don't know something. This one is a bit of a red flag, because they won't look anything new up. They're going to be out of touch with modern slang. They're not going to be aware of any grammatical reform, which does happen from time to time. And they are going to be absolutely insufferable to deal with if you ever think they are incorrect or in the wrong. Just get away from a dynamic like that. That's not a good person, let alone a good teacher. Number 4, they only teach in the target language. Immersion is great and all, but at a beginner level, a maximum of 90% immersion is necessary, and often that is reduced to 60% or even 50%. Ja, es ist gut, dass Sie Deutsch sprechen können. Sie sind Professor, ich würde hoffen, dass Sie Deutsch sprechen könnten. Aber die StudentInnen, die Deutsch als Anfänger lernen, werden nicht verstehen können, worüber Sie sprechen. Wahres Leben hat auch keine Untertitel. Number 5, they only teach you formal or informal language, not both. Par exemple, en français, on peut tutoyer et on peut vous voyer. Il y a des règles et des normes sociétales quand on utilise la formalité et l'informalité. Some languages, such as French, rely on verb conjugation and different pronouns to convey formality versus informality. Even English distinguishes formality versus informality via syntax, how a sentence is formed, as well as vocabulary, or chosen words. Yes, even English makes the distinction between formality and informality, so that we don't accidentally talk to our friends like they're strangers, and we don't talk to, upper management like they're best friends of ours. Number 6, they don't answer your questions. Or if they do answer your questions, they don't answer them in a way that makes sense to you or that is helpful to you. Whether there's a language barrier or they just don't answer your questions properly for you to understand, this shows that that teacher is not good with one-on-one instruction. They might know the material very well. They might be brilliant thinkers, fantastic speakers, but they don't understand the material well enough to be teaching you. Number 7, there's either no course schedule or there's no organization. Language is not something you can just improvise. You can't just go into a language class and wing it. If your professor is not organized, just cut your losses and drop the class, or be prepared to literally learn absolutely nothing. Number 8, your professor just constantly gives you busy work. Especially if you already have a ton on your plate and they're just adding on to it with a bunch of assignments that aren't really providing you anything, they're not teaching you anything new, they're really just stressing you out more. That's a sign that you don't have a good teacher. They're just relying on giving grades. They're just relying on giving out assignments so the department is happy, but you're not really going to learn anything from them. And you may be thinking, wow, tell that to the professors at my university then. Well, depending on where you studied, I already did. Some professors are brilliant thinkers. Many are not. Some professors are brilliant at what they do. Many have no business teaching. 人生には宿題以上のものがあります。成績を与えることは全てじゃありません。Number 9, your professor isn't making the learning process fun. Now you may be thinking, universidade não é divertida. And if so, then I regret to inform you that you've never had a good professor. Ever. Think about it. Our brains want to have fun. Human brains just want to have fun when we're learning and when we're memorizing things. That's why it is so easy for us to remember lyrics of songs that we like, whereas studying for an exam that we don't care about feels like pulling teeth. Number 10, your professor doesn't allow flexibility in the classroom when you're using the language. Even in formal contexts, Idioms exist and synonyms exist, and there are several ways to express the words that you want to convey. There are several ways to express yourself in language in general, regardless of the formality you're speaking in. So if your professor is limiting you to what you are learning in that unit and in the textbook and penalizes you, marking you wrong if you use things that are more colloquial, or not even more colloquial but just different, that is not a good professor. They're setting you up to be completely overwhelmed and unprepared in the real world. It's a similar idea to taking karate classes. If you can't fight for self-defense outside of the dojo, what is the point of taking karate lessons? Not to say in that context you ever want to use the abilities that you've gained from that class. But if you can't fight in a non-controlled setting, what's the point? Similarly, if you can only speak textbook languages, who cares? And there you have it. If you found value in this content, please consider liking, subscribing, all the works, press all the buttons. Leave a comment if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have. I love teaching this stuff. I'm very passionate about it. As you can see, it makes me very energetic. I love language, and I love teaching people how to learn language. I'm a polyglot. I speak 10 languages, 10 plus. We'll get to that in a different video. If you have any questions about language learning, or you have any questions about me, leave them in the comments. If they're quick, I'll answer them right there. If they're longer, perhaps I'll answer them in a future video. All right, until next time, happy language learning.